In my last build, I challenged myself to build the best possible 1080p entry-level gaming PC for under $300. Using mostly pre-owned components purchased off of Facebook Marketplace, I was able to do this with some savvy shopping, deal hunting, and frankly, a whole lot of luck. In this video, I'm hoping to build the best possible QHD or 1440p gaming PC for under $600. Let's take a look at all the parts, how I got them, and how much I paid for them.
ATL Resell Guy.
So I wanted to start this PC by searching for a CPU first, and I had my eye on a Ryzen 5 5600 just because they're readily available, pretty affordable, and have great gaming performance. When purchased new, they usually run about $120, but in my search trying to find a used one, it was really hard to find anything that was much less than that, honestly. Eventually, when searching through Facebook Marketplace, I did come upon a Ryzen 5 7600, which is an even better CPU. The seller had it listed at $100, which is already a pretty good deal because they sell new for around $200. So I offered the seller $80 and they accepted. The Ryzen 5 7600, new in the box. And the great thing about this CPU is it's actually on the AM5 platform, and what that's going to do is give this build a lot of future proofing. The only downside is the AM5 boards are more expensive than the AM4. So I figured I'd better go ahead and get a motherboard now that I have my CPU, and the obvious choice was the B650. I did eventually find a seller that had a Eagle AX listed for $100, and it had actually been on Marketplace for a few weeks. This particular board sells new for about $160, so I was well on my way to starting out this build with two screaming deals. Excellent. We set a time and place to meet, but they ended up ghosting me. I reached out a few days later just to double check and see if something had come up. They still didn't respond, so it was back to the drawing board. A week or so ended up passing after that, and I kept my eye out on Facebook Marketplace trying to find another great deal. Keeping an open mind, I decided to take a little bit of a different approach and start trying to find incomplete builds. Eventually, I stumbled upon a listing for an HP Omen 35L pre-built computer that just didn't have the SSD or the GPU. This was a great chance to get most of the remaining components all in one fell swoop. The seller was asking $400 for it, which is a large majority of my overall budget of $600, but it included a really nice case, an AM5 socket, MATX board, a tower cooler fan with RGB, more RGB fans, a 650 watt power supply, and 16 gigs of RGB DDR5 RAM. But what sparked my interest the most about this listing was the CPU. This pre-built came with a Ryzen 7 8700G, which if bought new, runs about $300. So my goal here was to buy the pre-built, pull out the CPU, sell it on eBay, and keep the remaining parts for my build. So as you can see here, I obviously went through with the purchase. I met up with the guy. Everything functioned really great, which was really no surprise simply because the guy had just purchased this pre-built 2 months ago. I even have the receipt from Best Buy. So all the components are pretty much brand new. I decided not to haggle over the price. Usually I would try to get a little bit of a discount, but I already had a financial plan for this entire build. A few bucks saved on this wasn't really gonna affect anything. I went ahead and paid the $400 for it. Once I got home, I immediately took out the CPU, cleaned off the thermal paste, and listed it on eBay, and it actually ended up selling overnight for $250 with free shipping. After you account for the cost of shipping, the fees that eBay takes, all these components ended up costing me around $200. If I was to go out and source all these parts separately, it would easily be over $300. I mean, I could pay $200 for the RAM and the motherboard alone. So at this point, I was in pretty good shape. I had everything that I needed except for an SSD and a GPU. Currently, the total build cost was only $280, so I figured I had about $250 to play with to get a GPU and about $70 or so to get an SSD. Initially, I was looking for the 3060 Ti. I threw out a bunch of offers for $200, but wasn't getting any bites. Eventually, I started looking at 3070s, which outperforms the 3060 Ti just barely, and I located this MSI RTX 3070. He had this listed for $400. I took a gamble, I messaged him and threw out an offer of $250 and he accepted. I kind of wish I had offered $200. He might have accepted that. The great thing was this person even delivered this to me, so there was no travel necessary to pick this up. I did some preliminary testing when he brought it to me just to be sure that it functioned properly. I feel pretty confident this is a great card for this build. As for the SSD, I only ended up purchasing a 500 gigabyte for my last build simply because it was just a super budget PC. What I noticed was after loading Windows onto that and then downloading just a few modern games, it was almost full. So I decided to get a 1 terabyte this time. And an SSD just isn't something that I want to purchase used from somebody. There's enough available for a decent price that you can just purchase one new anytime you need one. And Walmart was actually running a $20 rollback on this WD Black SN770 NVMe M.2 1 terabyte SSD card. I got this for $65 plus tax, free shipping, so under $70 for a terabyte. I just had to jump on that deal and it showed up the same day. So at this point, I now actually had all the components I'm gonna need for this $600 gaming PC. Let's break all this stuff down one more time just to see where all the money went. So I paid $400 for this pre-built PC. I sold the CPU that was included inside for $250 free shipping. The shipping cost was $9 and eBay takes out about 14%, which worked out to be about $37. So all in on the components inside this pre-built, I've got $196 into this. The Ryzen 5 7600 I bought off Facebook Marketplace new for $80. The MSI RTX 3070 I got off Facebook Marketplace for $250, and the Western Digital SSD was $69 after tax. Total build cost for everything you see here, $595. So now that all these components have been acquired, it's time to build this bad boy. In the next video, I'll assemble all the parts, load up Windows, and run some benchmarks and testing. We should see really excellent scores in QHD or 1440p and venture a little bit into 4K as well with this powerful 3070. And if you want to come along with me on this build, make sure to hit the subscribe button. Thank you guys for watching. Until next time, ATL Resale Guy signing out. Open! Thanks for watching until the end of the video. If you haven't already, check above to make sure that you're subscribed to the channel. And if you'd like to enjoy more content like this, hit the links below to other videos.